Good evening. I'm also grateful to the church and to these people that have put this on, because we could have ended up at Wetherspoons, couldn't we? That would have been even worse, or better, depending on your point of view. I've lived in Gillingham all my life as well. I started life in School Avenue in Gillingham, would have ended up in the dockyard, but for it weren't going to the grammar school. And I worked in pharmaceuticals for years on life-saving drugs, cancer, the first AIDS drug and various other things. Then I took interest in management and business, and I've worked for 30 years in universities and run my own business for 30 years. That's me in a nutshell. I am standing a cat for election. It's utterly ridiculous. In fact, I think the cat should be Raymond Chishti honorarily for this evening. But it's actually deadly serious. I'm an independent candidate. I don't have to report to my masters, apart from Stan, who's sitting down here. It's not a real cat. No, I haven't damaged. No cats were damaged during this presentation. No. So I am standing here. I'm very serious about improving the Medway towns. I'm also very serious about reforming Parliament and the mess that we've got into. I predominantly am after Raymond Chishti's votes because I think he's been here too long. And were he here tonight, I would have enjoyed that, but I can't enjoy that now. So I'm after people that are feeling that the Tories have failed us. I'm also after people that actually don't vote, which won't be any of you in this room because you've come out this evening. So I'm not interested in any of you, really. In a way, I sort of am. But I'm interested in those things, and I'm not interested in disturbing tactical voting for this area. So I do want to take on those sorts of things. So vote for me if you've had enough of everyone. Vote for me if you think that actually I might do a good job. I've got some leaflets and all the rest of it, and I think that'll do.
Thank you very much, Peter. If elected, what would be your top priority locally?
Locally, goodness me, the high streets are important actually. They're like a polo, they've got a hole in the centre. I was in Gillingham High Street today and people were just saying all kinds of things, some of them not repeatable here about what the problem is with the high street, but I share your views on this subject. So we've got to have a complete rethink of the high street locally, and that does of course include potholes. But that would be my top priority because people can't get to the high streets, and then people moan that the shops are not suitable. Of course, in the 80s, we probably moved out of the high streets to the Saver Centre, and actually the idea that we can build more shops selling more things that people don't want is not an answer because Amazon does that. We can buy all the rubbish we want online. So actually more shops that do the same thing isn't an answer, but we do need to reconstruct high streets to be a social hub and a place for communities would be my short answer.
Thank you. Oh, Peter.
I would add one thing about austerity. Absolutely, I fully agree that austerity is at the root of a lot of the problems we're now inheriting 14 years after Mr Chishti, who's not here tonight, to apologise for that. However, people do want to talk about growth. You cannot have growth in these towns unless we decide about the elephant in the room, which happens to be not Richie Blackmore, the guitarist in Deep Purple. It doesn't start with that B, it starts with Brexit. And all the things that all the politicians want to talk about right now, cost of living, NHS, all this stuff, they all have one foot or other in Brexit, not totally, of course. Brexit has cost us 4.5% on our GDP. That's into perpetuity, forever. That's what we're carrying. It's rather like trying to swim the channel with a 4.5 kilo block of concrete around your neck. If we were to actually address the elephant in the room, and I really hope that Keir Starmer will when he has the chance, then we will be able to genuinely talk about growth.
Is anyone else? Peter Cook, what can we do for cats on Gillingham High Street?
I like very much what Stuart said on the shrinkage of the high street and working that up. I also like what you said about taxing online retailers, and I like very much what you said about social hubs because it's really the polo economy, really. And part of my recent existence, I've been working for a woman called Gina Miller, who you may know took Boris Johnson to court twice and won, and was ruthlessly ignored. So we do need, I think we've answered the question collectively actually, I think there's some very good ideas in here. I would add one on. I'm not in favour of free markets if I look to Livingston Circus, where I used to live for a while, there was always 3 hairdressers, or 3 kebab shops, or 3 vaping bars, or not vaping bars. Some intervention by local government and all national government is actually necessary to say, we've got 5 vaping bars. We don't need another one. There should be some intervention, and of course with that goes the support package to stop landlords charging people off of the high street. That would be my additional ideas.
Thank you very much. Well, once again, it's all been a bit too friendly. Does anyone like to take the chance to speak against Gillingham High Street? No? Okay.
Only after hours.
Okay, we're going to have Michelle. Peter Kirk, how would you help poverty and homelessness amongst the cat community?
I strongly agree with Nishaba and Kate, everything they've said. I'll add 2 words. Suella Braverman. Since Rehman's not here. Demonising people in every quarter, whether they come here from afar or whether they're people on the streets. Kate made the point we managed to do this in lockdown. It's not rocket science. So Suella Braverman has been responsible for weaponising hatred of different groups and marginalising groups, and you're absolutely right. Christianity doesn't say hate thy neighbour. I don't think it says that somewhere. So I think Suella Braverman is responsible for a lot of division here, and since Raymond's not here, he has to go, and Nishaba has to get in. That's simple. Two more words. Jeremy Hunt. I said that correctly. I was at the food bank today in Gillingham, opposite Raymond Chishti, and it is not a badge of honour to have food banks in Gillingham. They do excellent work, but actually in a civilised society, we're allegedly the 7th wealthiest nation in the world. It is not a badge of honour to have them, and even less a badge of honour to then try and privatise them and make money out of them. So they're the sorts of things we need to start off. And finally, on the question of 0-hour contracts, absolutely, that sort of thing was outlawed when we were in Europe.
Thank you very much. Peter Cook, how would you prioritise education?
What we have at the moment is Dickensian, isn't it? Gillian Keegan, they're literally crumbling. But actually building better schools is not the thing, it's building better minds that matter. I was a school governor at one time, and I've also nearly wrote a book with Sir Ken Robinson, who wrote the book, who made the YouTube film All Our Futures, and he wrote a book for Tony Blair on reforming education. He was really thought that was going to be the cornerstone of Labour's policy, and then they just filed it. And actually what he wrote was still relevant now. Much of it, I think, is finally coming to pass with what you're doing. So that's excellent. I would just sort of say also that you can't learn if you're not fed. So everything that's been said already about feeding children, whereas Gillian Keegan wants to starve them. I know sometimes a little bit of a slap helps to, a bit of stiff upper lip, but if people are starving, they can't learn. And finally, I've done 3.5 degrees, so I've had a lucky life educationally. But I do think that the school system is not fit for purpose. What we teach people is an input-output model. We teach them knowledge, and then we ask them to write it down again. What do they do when they go to work? They go on the internet to find out what they need to know is to be able to process knowledge so that they can turn that into products, services, or whatever they do, something useful.
Thank you very much. Peter Cook, how would you tackle the climate emergency, and does it involve Brexit?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I would tackle it very much in the way that Kate is tackling it. I actually have done quite a lot of work for the Green Party in the past. I'm currently recruiting people for the Climate Party who are a sort of centre ground version of the Green Party. They're non-competitive. They don't stand in areas where they are. And they want actually to accelerate the pathway to net zero and seize the opportunities that are associated with net zero. I do disagree with your boss. Sorry about this, about the 28 billion.
Well, it's 23.7 now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The two things I mildly disagree with the boss about are the rowback on the sort of that policy, and of course his stance on Brexit. But we'll leave that for now. So we do need to recover our green energy, and we do need to actually capitalise on it, dare I say. I sound like Raymond Chishti now, don't I? Because if we don't do it, China will. So I think there is green economics to be dealt with, which can contribute to the economy alongside, if we're not going to do the 28 billion, we need to get the 100 billion back every year from Brexit.
Thank you very much. Peter Cook, what can be done to bring down NHS waiting times?
I don't think I can say the word Brexit on this one.
You'll find a way.
I'll find a way. We have a national illness service in this country. I remember John Harvey-Jones. Could he fix the NHS? Of course he couldn't. I remember various people trying to do that. Celebrities, could they do it? It's, in sort of academic terms, the NHS is a wicked problem. It's got lots of tentacles in it, and you can't. There's no magic bullets for it. My experience of the NHS was really, I had a lot of family members that have died. And if you are really ill, the NHS is brilliant. Absolutely first class. If you're a little bit ill, you can get stuck in the loop, because actually the administration for a huge monolith is very difficult. So you get stuck in queues and what have you. And I don't know what the answer is, but everyone has had a go at it. I would actually try and do some of what the Tories are doing, but without the hate, which is to try and delegate more to primary care and get more things done in pharmacies, but they're actually degrading pharmacists. They can't even afford to run their pharmacies. And finally, you can't get the drugs from Europe. Brexit!
Thank you very much. Peter Cook.
Yes, my mother-in-law was in a care home for a long time. Please forgive me for saying this, but thank God she died before COVID, because I wouldn't have wanted to see that. And if anyone's gone through that, they would know what that's like. And let's not forget the elephant in the room tonight. Boris Johnson, by putting infected patients into care homes, killed approximately 30,000 people. So, if we look after social care, some of the problems of the NHS will go away, but social care is poorly looked after, and it's a terrible thing to go in a care home and see what's going on. So I want to agree with Stuart that we need to address the other elephant in the room, social care, and I'll have a bottle of Nigel, please.
Thank you very much. Okay, finishing us off for the night, Peter Cook.
Now, I want your vote if you have never voted in your life or you don't want to vote for anyone on this table. I want your vote. None of you in this room will be in that category, but maybe others are. I also want your vote if you're a hard Tory. You're probably not in the room either. You have the choice of voting for my cat or for the Reform Party, who are absent. So if you're a hard Tory, you can go there, if you're never going to vote for anyone else. If you're a soft Tory, I'm leaving you to make your own judgment, and there's some very good candidates on this place tonight. If you're a Lib Dem, actually, I still want your vote, actually, and because I am supporting the Lib Dems in Epsom, so that's a fair trade. So we do need to reboot Britain. We need to renew. I'm not going to say reform, but we do need to rejoin the EU, and we need to break Brexit before Brexit breaks Britain. And now it's like Liz Truss.